Behind the television, you can see that there is a microsonic energy device, this box. This is the device that is converting radio frequencies into pure energy.
The gifted innovator also designed and built an electric-powered vehicle, hybrid helicopter, and a drone among some of his groundbreaking innovations in the high-tech global entrepreneurial ecosystem.
He is one of the most significant young innovator and inventors in Zimbabwe. Maxwell Sanguluni was best known for developing a green power generator which can produce electricity using radio frequency.
This comes after he recently unveiled a self-powered TV that does not need a socket to operate.
And he is now in a hospital in intensive care unit because according to his staff, he was poisoned, and they said they have been receiving threats and messages from people. They call them the clean energy or oil mafia, the people that have a lot to lose.
The human ability to believe stupid stuff.
If he continues with his invention, they are going to get out of market, and they don't want that. Like, this man is a genius.
Obviously, stupid stuff is
impressive. Most impressive.
In one of my last videos, we watched Johnny gushing about how the US military was seeing UFOs on a daily basis.
To me, what's actually more compelling about what this guy just said is
because we were seeing these so much.
He is saying that these pilots have been seeing these things,
essentially all the time.
Wow. Yeah. Like, yeah, I get it. The translucent cube thing is like more tantalizing, but like the fact that these pilots report seeing these UAPs, these UFOs, all the time, day after day, week after week, that to me is more compelling evidence that we need to evaluate here.
And this was an immediate case why they were real and should be looked into. While missing the kind of obvious thing is if they're seeing them on a daily basis. How come the best pictures they can get with the most advanced military in the world is Fuzzy Blob recorded on potato?
The public has been able to see several astounding images of what certainly qualify as UFOs.
You know, and this is after they were swarming destroyers.
Videos recorded by U.S. Navy personnel have added a new layer of evidence to the current national debate about UFOs. For the first time, radar images recorded inside a Navy ship have confirmed the presence of several unknown objects that swarmed around the ship for hours.
Sir, there are 6 of them, bearing 215, range 150 miles. God, a dozen more of them.
And despite being swarmed by UFOs, the best video they could come up with was out of focus plane. So following this theme of believing the most ludicrous claims based on the flimsiest of evidence, someone recently sent me this. Apparently, a guy has invented a TV that harnesses energy from radio waves and uses it to power this TV.
First in the world to have such kind of a technology where a television is powered with a radio frequency.
And the video evidence for it is much better than Johnny's UFO footage. And I was immediately taken back some 15 years to the Zimbabwean witch doctor, who not just claims she can make oil seep from rocks, which is, actually kind of where oil mostly comes from. No, she can make refined diesel ooze from rocks. And what did the president of Zimbabwe offer to her for this miracle? Of course, 2 head of cattle and 3 buffalo. And if it was true that magic could really do this, it would completely revolutionize Zimbabwe's position. And so they gave her a load of money to do more of it. It turns out magic wasn't real, because there are some remarkably robust rules about reality. Things like, for the most pedestrian things, conservation of mass. Stuff doesn't just appear and disappear, let alone specific molecules like diesel. But hey, if there's a 1 in 1,000 chance that they're right, it could change the world.
I'd say more like 1 out of 1,000,000.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah! And therein lies the rub for all of these things. The hook that these scams rely on. It's a low probability, high payoff gambling. Now, a sane person, of course, will happily tell you that there is 0 chance of a miracle happening. But the calculations are still enticing for people. especially for people who want a shortcut, an easy button. You know, you need people who are desperate for something, people who are thirsty for something. They're basically every get-rich-quick scheme you've seen on YouTube. Of course, they can't work. Yeah, and for the crypto people out there, no, you're not all going to make it. In fact, it's one of the cruelest twists of irony that the only get-rich-quick scheme that actually works is selling get-rich-quick schemes that don't work. I mean, the general framework is simple. You just need to identify something that people are desperate for and tell them there's a shortcut.
In this video, we'll take a look at the Hyperloop, the brand new method of transport brought forth by the entrepreneur and billionaire Elon Musk.
But it would be for a fifth mode of transports. I have a name for it, which is called the Hyperloop.
The Hyperloop?
Hyperloop, yeah.
It's also a lot faster. You can basically get from downtown LA to downtown San Francisco in 30 minutes. It's also extremely energy efficient due to solar power utilization. In fact, the Hyperloop could generate more power than it consumes as a closed system.
Because you generate more power than you would consume in the system.
It's also much cheaper to build. It's about 1/10 the cost of the proposed California high-speed railway system. This means that tickets could cost as little as $25.
And honestly, I think it's a lot easier than people think. It's like a tube with an air hockey table. It's really, I swear, it's not that hard.
And of course, like all shortcuts, this one will completely revolutionize everything. And that's why they don't want you to know about it.
Now, you know what happens in the world when somebody offers free energy, right? But let's say for 1 second, Maxwell Chikumbutso's inventions are actually genuine. Can you try to imagine what sort of change they'll bring to the world? And can you imagine how many other businesses will probably go broke?
It's basically the Nigerian princess scam. Offer someone free money, it's no hard work, no skill, all you've got to do is pay a small processing fee, and you'll be rich. Sure, you know that most of these things are scams.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
But what if this one was real?
Yeah!
And all you had to do was give this guy a few $1,000s processing fee, and you could be a millionaire, a multi-millionaire. Or what if you did just have to pay $1,000 to attend a course, and you could be a millionaire? What if there really was another form of transport that was 10 times faster than trains, 10 times cheaper to build than rail infrastructure, and generated more energy than it used? Well, it'd be really stupid under those circumstances to keep investing in trains or some other proven form of public transport, right? And this is where these things really do predate on desperation. In carrot and stick motivation terms, this is 100% carrot. Well, carrots taste a lot better to hungry people, and a heck of a lot better to starving people. With maybe one of the clearest abuses of this flawed gamble being Pascal's wager. You know, that even if there is a minuscule chance that not believing in God will result in eternal damnation, why take the chance? However, a simple examination shows that there's an infinite number of stories that could result in eternal damnation that have no evidence to back them up for not believing in something. Likewise with UFO watchers. I mean, sure, every single UFO that's been looked at wasn't aliens, or anything remarkable beyond out-of-focus camera, infrared bird, or twitchy camera mount. But what if 1 in a million was real?
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Sorry, the Chinese spy balloon put this whole thing to rest. If something unexpected appears in the sky, it will be seen by thousands of people and thousands of pictures will be taken of it. Meanwhile, all UFO sightings remain fuzzy blob recorded on potato, even when there are dozens of them swarming a US Navy warship. Sure, it's not impossible for aliens to visit us, or for the supernatural to exist, or for people to perform miracles. It's just that every single case that was ever looked at turned out to be wrong or a fraud. And if you're going to gamble on anything in the world, gamble on thermodynamics, which has been right 100% of the time. Every time you turn the key in the ignition of the car, that's thermodynamics. Which brings us on to the magic TV that works without any electricity supply.
Today's report is about a Zimbabwean inventor that developed a cordless television.
Microsonic energy device, or green energy, has put Zimbabwe on top in the history books of science and technology as the founding father of an amazing green generator. May very well become the answer to power challenges facing not only Zimbabwe but other nations across Africa and beyond.
The beauty about Maxwell Chikumbutso's inventions is that when it comes to his off-grid generator, a team of engineers from the United States came into the country, which is Zimbabwe, tested these technologies and verified that it was in fact genuine.
And you know, if some random guy says that something was verified by a team of American engineers, why they need to be American, I'm not quite sure, but whatever, that must mean that it's true. And all those American engineers were like, wow, this is like it was made by someone with no knowledge of electronics.
Amazingly, Maxwell never trained formally in electronics or engineering.
I've met quite a number of qualified engineers, and they don't believe that I'm not even qualified. But once they do a due diligence, they will see that I don't have any academic qualification.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills! Nothing! You've got nothing! Nothing!
There's only one explanation for this. This must be from God.
Chikumbutso is not the typical scientist. He dropped out of school aged 14 and says he's developed his blueprints through research and visions from God.
Personally, I feel like his inventions are in fact genuine.
Everything that I have managed to do until today, it came directly from God.
Now, imagine starting a company in 2009 and close to 14 years later, the company is still operational and you're dealing with fake products. Try doing that in the real world.
Oh, I got one better than that. Imagine being in business for 15 years with a company talked up to almost $10 billion, like, say, for instance, with Theranos, which of course then went broke because it turns out they couldn't do any of the things they claimed they could do. And I'll be honest, compared to Maxwell's claims here, their claims are eminently more plausible.
Why is it that when it comes to inventions that are coming from Africa or technologies that are emanating from Africa?
Chikumbutso, he's claiming a scientific breakthrough with this green energy technology, an electric car which he says converts radio frequencies into energy.
There's always like a lot of questions. You never hear it when, let's say, people in Asia or in Europe, other parts of the world, they don't get questioned the way that things are questioned when it's in regard to Africa.
Yeah, let's see. African inventor claims to violate conservation of energy. And you think my objection here is the African part. Not sure about that, but let's roll with it. I'm always skeptical of when an African inventor invents a car that can drive forever.
Which makes it the first electric vehicle in the world that drives without needing recharging systems.
That looks suspiciously like a Toyota Argo with some flashy business decals. You see, this is the thing. Claims of UFOs and miracles, or ghosts, and claims of free energy devices are incredibly common. And of course, if true, would have amazing implications. But on a practical level, patent offices actually have to deal with gazillions of applications for something that has a 100% track record of not working. So they just put them into a category saying perpetual motion device and reject them.
In patents, anything that violates the laws of physics is not an industrial applicable solution. They classify it as a perpetual motion device.
It's okay. We're dealing with humanity here. I have faith that humanity will do the sensible thing and not invest millions.
Luis Kupenala, a South African-based Angolan businessman, has poured millions into the project.
I thought this was incredible. And this is a Zimbabwean, this is an African brother that is doing this. And this is not his first invention, by the way. He is also known for innovations such as helicopter, electric cars, green power generating machines, and drones that are now in use in South Africa.
Last year, Chikumbutso was reportedly poisoned in the US. He had to spend a month in hospital. To make matters worse, Chikumbutso was reportedly informed by one of his top advisors that there were 5 Mexican hitmen that had been hired to kill him.
Who are you? The Three Amigos!
It's really, really, really sad to see this bright mind now laying in a hospital fighting for his life just because he wanted to change the lives of many, because he wanted to offer people cheaper access.
Zimbabwean inventor Maxwell Chikumbutso is reportedly living in fear, all because he wanted to give the world free energy powered devices. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Master, the ZimTech guy.
And I openly ascribe my debunkings to be totally inspired by Grabthar's hammer.
By Grabthar's hammer, I shall avenge you. By Grabthar's hammer. Next.
Now that's sarcasm. And I too have been through a lot. You see, it's only through the innate truth of the hammer
By Grabthar's hammer.
that I survived being poisoned by a horde of invisible rampaging ninja genetically engineered cyber monkeys hired by the establishment South Moravian Illuminati drug cartel. And when the establishment South Moravian Illuminati drug cartel is trying to poison you with invisible rampaging ninja genetically engineered spider monkeys, you know that you're on the right side of history. And for those thinking, there's absolutely no way you could have the self-powered TV inventor living in fear with 1/3 hits. Let's take a quick look at this, shall we? We, as African nations, need to protect and support these brilliant individuals. He should publish the blueprints online and make the technology open source. I knew this was going to happen. There was a guy who created a technology that created the ability to run cars on free energy. They bought the patent from him and put it on the shelf. Yeah. Remember that thing about patents and perpetual motion machines? When I see the clip of this man showing off his self-powered TV, I literally said to myself, this guy has a target on his head. I hope he pulls through and protects himself at all costs. May God protect this man. I think his inventions are real. He's a remarkable man that needs protecting. It's unfortunate that great minds and assets enduring this in his own motherland. When will Africans and their leaders wake up and recognize and protect their blessings? This young man should have some form of protection from the government. Shameful to say the least. And it just keeps going. Protect this brother at all costs, especially when the creator of the heavens and earth gave him the ideas.
According to Maxwell Chikumbutso, all of his inventions were inspired by God. He actually got all the ideas from the visions of the night, as in the guy was sleeping and he just got ideas for inventions.
Hey, wait! I'm having one of those things. You know, a headache with pictures.
An idea?
So let me get this right. God can only communicate with this guy when he's asleep. But whatever. Let's just believe everything he says for a second, because it's funny. This means that God actually knew that this guy was going to get poisoned, but decided not to warn him about the poisoning from the 5 Mexican hitmen. Look, back when I was debunking stupid conspiracy theories about 5G and the coronavirus, I did the obvious experiment and put one of the most powerful transmitters I had. So here I've actually got a pretty powerful 5 gigahertz. That's low 5G band type energies. And this is actually a super powerful transmitter. It's about half a watt, 500 milliwatts, which means that this thing is for broadcasting video about 1 kilometer or so. And did the obvious experiment of putting that transmitter next to a block of cheese. Now, the radio transmitter transmits something fairly similar to microwaves that you use to heat your food. Here goes. Boom. Here we go. 30 seconds, 15 seconds. Oh. There it is now. Oh, that is so awesome. Oh, so it's yes, you see the penetration at the corners. That is amazing. So that's the most power you can get out of your microwaves, is by heating stuff up. So I did the obvious thing. So you put your radio transmitter next to the same block of cheese. And the reason you can't see really anything on the thermal camera is because everything is the same temperature, which is awesome. That's how it should be at the beginning. You can see that the transmitter is mostly cool at the moment. Awesome. So that's half an hour of whacking it with a fairly powerful 5 gigahertz AV transmitter. So it really does look like it's just one slice in, and that's basically it. So the penetration of the 5G is, oh yeah, you see him. He's actually been cooked. Look at that! I've actually heated a piece of cheese up by about 1 degree Celsius over half an hour. Meanwhile, if I let go of it, you will see that my fingerprints will do that in seconds. Right, this just gives you some idea of the sheer power of a decent 5G transmitter. And there was almost no heating. Sat right next to the transmitter, absorbing everything. That's almost all the energy this thing's giving off. And this man says he's got a TV that can turn that barely detectable energy into a power level that can run TVs. Oh, hell, not just TVs, it can run tens of houses.
Our machine, the one that we demonstrated, it is a 50 kilowatts. That energy can power about 10 houses, high-density houses in Zimbabwe, according to ZESA.
It can run tens of houses, hundreds of houses.
But it is his green generator that will shift the way science is working and revolutionize the country's energy system.
When we say you have done a half a megawatt from a radio frequency, it doesn't make sense. But when we demonstrated the machine, people, they saw that surely the machine is working, because a half a megawatt can power around plus or minus 200 houses. So you can see what it does from a radio frequency.
And to make this even more comical,
behind the television, you can see that there is a microsonic energy device, this box. This is the device that is converting radio frequencies into pure energy.
What the hell is going on with the heatsink and fan there? Usually you need a large heatsink for passive cooling. You don't put a tiny little fan on it. Or if you do put a fan on it, it's usually a comparable size to the actual heatsink. I mean, what I'm guessing is going on here is that looks remarkably like a power inverter. You know, those things that you get that plug into the 12-volt supply in your car and give you 240 or 120 volts AC out. And what do those look like when they're stripped of their fancy dressing? They look like this. You know, minus the heatsink that you've got to put on. In fact, gosh, this looks remarkably like just a regular power inverter that could, say, run a TV off a 12-volt battery like this, which is something you might power a remote-controlled plane with. Could such a battery provide enough power to run a television? I wonder if 14 years ago Thunderfoot has anything to offer on this. Okay, this is the deal. I've got a car with a flat battery, and I'm going to try and jump-start it with this, which is a model plain battery. It's a 3-cell lithium-ion polymer battery, which means these things produce about 12 to 13 volts, but they can take monstrous currents. Hey man, there we go. Which tells us that we have 12.7 volts full thrust. Okay, so that's the sort of thrust that the plane produces, and if you want to take a look at the current it produces, so that was peaking out at about 40 amps. Of course, that's my little, so I can read the display when I need to. And he cleaned it, which was jolly sporting of him, but unfortunately he also left the door open, which means that a couple of days later I have a flat battery. And very sure you don't wire your batteries back to front, otherwise they will sort of burst into flame. But okay, baby, make me proud. Yeah. So yeah, a battery like this will absolutely be able to draw enough amps to run a TV. And I'd probably guess that a battery like this would run a TV like this for about an hour or so. Certainly longer than the 30 or so second demonstration that our genius inventor has here to show that it's running off radio waves.
This is our self-powered TV that we have designed. The first in the world to have such kind of a technology where a television is powered with a radio frequency. So as you can see right now, I'm powering this television. So this is the first television in the world that uses self-power to say. It is all in one. You don't need to put it on electricity or on solar panel or anything.
Yeah, for about an hour until the batteries run flat. Then probably a different story. And that's today's video. If you really enjoyed it and don't want to miss out on more like it, maybe consider subscribing to the channel. And as ever, if you really like the work of this channel and want to support it directly, you can do it through Patreon. And thanks for watching.